Hello, everyone. Welcome to our new interview session for our Mapping Ancient Africa workshop in South Africa. I'm
Hello.
happy to today have with us Cyril, right, to
Hello.
answer a couple of questions regarding to himself and his research. So if that's okay, I'll just go right ahead. So the first question is, can you introduce yourself and briefly describe your current research focus?
Yeah, so I'm Cyril Boateng from Ghana. I'm a senior lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, specifically the Department of Physics. And I have a research lab that is the West Africa Geophysics Lab. And one of the core things we focus on is how to use geophysics for archaeological investigations. Especially in tropical environments, which provide some kind of challenges. So we are trying to find methodologies around those challenges. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. So the next question would then be, what motivated you to attend this scientific writing workshop and what do you hope to gain from it?
But yeah, so scientific writing is one of the things that you don't usually get a formal training for as an academic. It just everybody assumes you should know because you've done a PhD and you are working in academia. So it's always interesting to have an opportunity to learn from others who have navigated this process, especially if they are working in your field. So coming to this workshop was good for me because then it allowed me to be able to talk to people who have done this to a better degree, are more experienced, and then they can share their knowledge so that I have this formal understanding of how to navigate the scientific writing process. Yeah.
Perfect. So what has been the most valuable lesson or skill you learned in this workshop?
Oh yeah. So this one of the interesting things I found out, because usually when you have this really difficult comments from reviewers and editors, I used to assume just sometimes because you are working out of Africa, so there's this maybe a bias or some form of judgment from there. But then I talked to the facilitators here, and I find out that this is actually a normal thing. So it means that at least when I'm navigating this review process, I don't particularly take it personal. From now on, I would know that it's just how the process works and give really professional responses. The other skill that I think was very important to learn was specifically how to then respond to those review comments, because sometimes you're not too sure whether to elevate your response to maybe an angry kind of stage or make it mild, so that I just go through the process. But then speaking to some of the facilitators, we've been able to find a really optimum response to that. So I think that's a good lesson. Yeah.
Great. Which gets us to the last question. What are your aspirations for the future and how do you think the skills you've learned will help you with that?
Yeah, so now that I have my own lab, I'm training a lot of master students and PhD students as well, a lot more mentoring them. So this is going to really work with, is it really going to be useful in training my students as well as they start their careers. And then since our lab has a regional focus on West Africa, this is not only information that is going to be useful to me, but beyond Ghana and to the whole of West Africa as well. I can share some of those skills with the students that I'm mentoring. And of course, because you are going to be doing a lot more work in archaeology across West Africa with geophysics, again, the skills would work in growing this field in terms of research areas. So yeah, that would be fantastic.
Thank you so much. Is there
Yeah.
anything as a last thing that you would kind of like throw out there to the world for people to know or to consider when it comes to doing research, particularly research in Africa?
Um, yeah, so there are still a lot of how do I a lot of challenges that I think are exclusive to Africa in terms of research, and that's not in terms of resources, but just research gaps that need to be filled. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done in Africa, and I think a lot of people should focus on filling these gaps. Africans again, and but with collaborators outside. Because unless we fill those data gaps, we won't really have, especially with archaeology, we won't really have a good understanding of how human civilization has evolved over years. So I think there's so much work to be done here. There's a new frontier that is open. So for those who are interested, they should come along. Let's collaborate. Let's do more work so that we have a more complete understanding of human evolution over time. Yeah.
That is perfect. Thank you so much, Cyril, for this wonderful interview.
Thank you.